Hello and welcome to another live English lesson. I don't know if that worked properly, so I'll say it again. Welcome to another AM Language live lesson at 4 o'clock in the afternoon with me, Richie. I hope you're doing well and you're having a good Friday. Friday, the day before Saturday, and let's be honest, Saturday is a great day in the week because well, lots of things. It's the weekend. The Premiership is back, football-wise, and I think the weather's going to be good. So, three reasons to be pleased about Saturday being tomorrow. Plus, it's now getting to the later stage on a Friday afternoon. So, this is afternoon tea, which is a great time to begin to feel that you're going to be able to relax soon. So I hope everybody's doing well. As always, please make sure that you follow the lesson in the live chat, whether you're watching it live or watching it later, because that is where the action happens. And today is Film English, Build Vocabulary. And we're going to look at two great speeches from two classic films. I don't know if we can say, okay, I'm using classic in a different sense, maybe. One is very classical and the other one is just a classic. What I mean is one is old and is seen as a film that it's a good film to watch. And another one is a very famous film and is usually in everybody's top 15 or 20 favorite movies. The first film stars Charlie Chaplin in The Great Dictator, and film number 2 stars Robin Williams and Matt Damon in Good Will Hunting. So those are the two films that we're going to look at today in terms of speeches. Alida, buenos dias from where you are in the world, and welcome to today's lesson. Thank you for joining. I hope you've had a good week. Arena F, Privyet, good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us again. I hope both of you have had a good week this week. Overall, I would say that I think the thing about at the moment, there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot of news on your phone every day. And I would say during these times, especially with the coronavirus, and one cannot always go about their day the way they might want to go, it's being able to have a break or being able to have a live lesson like this really, I think, is quite healthy. Elena, good afternoon and welcome to today's lesson. Thank you for joining us again as well. As always, guys, if you are watching later, please fast forward the first 5 minutes. It usually takes us about 5 minutes before we get into the lesson. Leondina says, hi, Richard. Hi, Leondina. Welcome to today's lesson. Thank you for joining as well. That's a point. I don't think I shared this yet, in which case that's silly of me because I should have shared it. Let's see. Yes, no, I didn't share it. That was silly of me. I thought I had. I usually do before the lesson starts. But I try to anyway. There we go. Okay, well, now that is shared. That makes a lot more sense. Okay. So, Leondina, buono pomeriggio and good afternoon to you too. So, in today's lesson, we are going to build our vocabulary. And we're going to build it while also creating questions around the new vocabulary as well. And now I'm not going to read out the whole speeches, otherwise they take just too long. I am going to take little bits of these speeches and we're going to look at the language. We're going to look at the vocabulary and we're going to discuss. We're going to use the vocabulary to create questions, and we can talk about what we think as well about the answers to the questions that these words are going to help us. I forgot my trail of thought. I'll say that again because What I just said did not make very good sense. So we're going to look at new vocabulary, and this vocabulary is going to create the foundation on the questions we are going to ask and discuss. Okay, so got there in the end. So that way we can really have a good activating session of trying to use the new words that we're going to try and use, sorry. So the first film is The Great Dictator. Now, this starred Charlie Chaplin, and it's an old film. Now, for those of you who don't know Charlie Chaplin, he was actually English, but he moved to America and became famous in America. The film, The Great Dictator, is a satire political comedy drama. And this was made all the way back in 1940, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So let's have a little look at the first thing. So we're going to have a look at the at some bits of this. What's it called? Speech. There we go. So we're going to have a little look at this to begin with. So I'm going to break this part of the speech up into 2 bits. Otherwise, it's going to be too long. I'll do this again because that didn't come out well. So I'm going to do this in 2 bits. Otherwise, this part of the speech is going to be too long. Okay, there we go. And that's the first bit and the second bit. So this is a middle bit of the. This is the middle bit of the speech. Now, leading up to this, this is where he's talking about. He's trying to talk about what sort of person he is and his politics. So he says here, our knowledge has made us cynical. Our minds, our cleverness hard and unkind. I need to do this again, actually. Wait a minute. I'll do this again, guys, because I've just noticed I didn't space this out well enough. So when I don't do that properly, some words blend into one another and then it becomes hard to read clearly. So I'm just going to post this again. There we go. So, our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent and all will be lost. So, let's first look at the new words that we can take from this, or maybe potential new words. Then we'll look at the meaning, and then we'll use this as a grounds to have a discussion. But I'm going to add just one other thing. Just one other thing I think that we can add to this. There we go. Now, this is just another part of the same speech, but I'm going to try and add this in. So in one go, we can look at the majority of things. So we can move on to the next thing. That reads quite nicely, I think. Okay. So there we go. That should make sense. All right, there we go. So the whole thing here, now I put bits and bobs here. The second bit says, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to think, what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourself to these unnatural men, machine men with machine hearts and machine minds. So a lot's going on there. Let's dive in and first look at the new vocabulary. Well, the potential new vocabulary. The first word that we're going to look at is this word cynical. Okay. Cynical. Okay. Cynical. Cynical. Okay. So it's not cynical or anything like it's cynical. So that is the first word over here. And let's have a little look to see what you guys think in terms of what this word means. I'm going to give you some options. So you guys can then tell me which option you think makes the most sense. So A. So either A or B, guys. It's a 50-50 one to begin with. Believing that most... Oh, what did I write there? No, that didn't come out very well. No, did it? I forgot people. Most... Did I write? Yeah. Leondina says B. Most people are motivated by bad intentions. That is the word cynical. Intentions is what what you want to do, what you want to achieve, or something like that. Why you do something. So B is the correct answer with cynical. So we're off to a good start there. Now, can you guys tell me what is type of word is cynical? Do you think cynical is a verb? Is it a noun? Is it an adjective? What do you guys think? If you say if you say knowledge has made us cynical, what do you think? Is this Alita's coming straight away with adjective, and that is correct. Well done. That is certainly an adjective, so it tells us how we can use it automatically. Okay, so that's the first word that we're going to look at. Let's move on to the next word that we need to have a little think about. Now, this one is something that I'm sure we all have an idea about. We have seen this word before. But let's just see what our understanding of this word is in English, okay? And this is the word humanity. So the question is, what is the correct definition of humanity? What are we trying to state? What are we trying to say when we say humanity? So does it mean A? Or does it mean A? Yes, correct. I think that's an easy way of explaining it. Yes, humanity is humans united for the benefit of everybody. Okay, so that's going to make up a very important element of what we're going to look at. And what I would like you guys to do here is, now I think you guys will probably already know this word, But what I would like, Elena's come in with mankind. Um, in some cases, yes. In some cases, mankind can be a synonym, but in some cases, in this case, it's not quite the same direct meaning in this case. Now, let's look at this next one. This one here, I'm going to give you a slightly different task because I know that I think you guys probably already know this word. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do is, for gentleness, can you, uh, can you give me a synonym? So can you give me a synonym for gentleness? Let's see what you guys come up with. So some of the easier words, just to make sure we are all on the same page. If I think it's a word that you probably will know, I'm going to ask you for a synonym. So kindness, yes, kindness, gentleness, they go together as they do in the speech. Any other ideas? Any other synonyms for the word kindness, softness, mildness? Okay, sorry, gentleness. Okay, good. These are all good synonyms that we can use. So now let's move on to the next one. Brutes. Tenderness. Good word, Alida. So the next one here, brutes, and the actual phrase is, don't give yourselves to brutes. Now, which one do you think is the more accurate definition of the word brute? Now, brute is accountable. So if you're going to go with more than one, you go with S. Brutes, brute, brutes. So I should add as well that I would also like you guys to try and tell me what type of word you think this is, because this word can be two things. It can be two different categories. Okay, you can we've got brutes in this sense. So we've got a, what word category can we put this? Okay, right, you've beaten me to it, actually, Alida. Yes, it's a noun or an adjective. When you want to use it as an adjective, you can say he is such. You can use it as a. You can use it as what's it called, as an adjective, because you can say, for example, yeah, you could use it like this. Actually, I think this is a good one. Here we go. If you want to use this as an adjective, you could use it like this. Cruel, like an adjective. Yeah, there's that element. Beast, says Alida. Well, let's see, actually. So meaning, in terms of the definition, is it A, behave like an animal, or B, okay, or B, behave like a violent, aggressive savage. Now, I've put this word savage in here. Now, I'll tell you what savage is, because it's a great word to know. And simply, a savage is it's an adjective, and it's an extreme. It's quite an extreme when you're a savage. A savage is a. If I were to say here, if I put savage just over here. Savage is a cruel, violent individual. So you've all gone for B. Yes, behave like an aggressive savage. Okay. So far we've got we've got cynical, we've got humanity, we've got synonyms for gentleness, brute. Okay, so we're doing well. Let's move on to the next one. What I would say here is we've got a few things that we can look at, but I'm going to jump to the last one, just to, and then if you guys have any questions about the other words, just let me know. And this is this. Okay, I'm going to put it together because I think it. No, come on. No, what's happened here? Oh, don't tell me I deleted it. No, I didn't. Or did I? Maybe I did. Okay, there's one which says, okay, cannon fodder. Cannon fodder. Okay, use you like cannon fodder. That's the whole thing. Okay, double D. So question is, what is cannon fodder? What is cannon fodder? That's the question. So I'm going to give you some options. A, someone significant. B, someone who has a use but can be disposed of. Okay, so which one? Cannon fodder. Fodder in particular. Is it someone significant or someone who has a use but can be disposed of? Disposed of is thrown away, really. A leader's gone for B. Yes, that is the correct answer. So now let's create some questions and we can discuss them before moving on to goodwill hunting. We have about 5 minutes just to discuss some questions. So let's look at the first one. The first question is, and come in with your own opinions, please, for this one. So the first one is, has our knowledge made us cynical? So that's the first question that we can ask. And two, is human kindness the answer to brutes? So these are two questions. We'll have 5-minute discussions. You can come in with your answers, and then we'll move on to goodwill hunting. So have a go. Try and tell me in the live chat section, do you think, has our knowledge made us cynical? Do you think that's the case these days? Do you think social media has made us cynical as well? Anything to do with knowledge? And two, is human kindness the answer to brutes? This might be an interesting question to think about. It is, when you are dealing with certain people in the world who you might describe as savage, is human kindness the answer to brutes? Is that the answer? So let me know in the live chat section what you think your answers are. And then we'll move on to Goodwill Hunting, which is a great, great film, which I'm sure many of you have probably watched. This particular speech, you can find the full speech in the link below in the description. So make sure you do watch the original version and the subtitles in the link that I have given. So guys, let me know, has our knowledge made us cynical? Is human kindness the answer to brutes? My personal opinion is, I think in some cases, both of these answers might very well be Yes, I think I think there are many examples where in some cases we might be able to say yes. Alida says yes, in certain way it might be true. In a yes, in a certain way it might be true. Yeah, I think I think a good example is probably when people look at most politicians today. I think many people are probably quite cynical when it comes to talking about politicians. I don't know many people today who are going to think that a politician has very good honorable intentions. Now, it does depend where you are in the world, but depending if you come from many countries these days, you probably can be forgiven for being cynical when people talk about politics and politicians. Is human kindness the answer to brutes? I think in many ways, I think there are good examples of when that might very well be a yes. I don't think it's all the time, but sometimes. Alida says, I don't trust any politician in Argentina. Well, Lida, given Argentina's history, I can't say I blame you. Um, uh, when I was in Argentina, I learned quite a bit about the political history of the last sort of 40 years or so. And I think you can be forgiven for being cynical without question. Absolutely. The same can be said in many other places as well. I know that, for instance, if you look at the United States at the moment, that there's a general election going on, and many people are very cynical about both sides as well. So let's now move on to the next one. What I would, Leondina says, in my opinion, in many cases it is true, even though I try to have some faith in humanity. Well, I think first of all, I think we do need to have faith in if when we talk about humanity as that when we are united together, it is going to be a good thing, then yes, I think we have to have faith in the idea that that's ultimately going to be a good thing. Um, but trying to do that is obviously very different. Elena says, I think that knowledge has consequences, especially in the case when it is used for achieving bad things. Yes, absolutely. I think this is the case when there's anything to do with technology. I think technology has made us cynical, and I think we have also become very cynical about products that are in some way technological. When people start talking about very advanced computers, I know I'm cynical. I start to question whether the computer or the technology was made with good intentions. So I think it's only natural to be cynical about these things. Elena says the movie about it, Social Dilemma. I haven't seen it, but I have heard that it's a film that I have heard it's a good film. So we're now going to move on to Good Will Hunting. This obviously stars Matt Damon and Robin Williams, who is probably, I would say, for me, one of my favorite actors growing up. I think he was a great comical actor, really funny, but he was also excellent when it came to the serious stuff. So he had these two extreme sides to him, and I think there's quite a few things we could go with here when talking about it. This fantastic speech. Um, but let's have a little look. Let's go with. I think what I'll do here is I'm just going to break this up because there's a lot of things to go for. So um, Here we go. This is the one I was looking for. Okay, so in this scene, he's sitting down on a park bench with Matt Damon. He's going through this lovely speech, and he gets to this bit where he says, "You've never held your best friend's head in your lap and watch him gasp his last breath, looking to you for help. If I ask you about love, you'd probably quote me a sonnet, but you've never looked at a woman and been totally vulnerable. So let's have a look and break this down." Now, what I would like to say is here we've got some things to do. I know that people don't always know exactly this part of the body. We've got this word lap. Okay. So can you guys tell me where the lap is? I'm going to give you some options. So, is your lap on your stomach, on your waist, or on your thighs? Okay, so where is your lap? Is it on your chest, waist, or thighs? Elena says C, Alida says C, and yes, that is exactly where your lap is. Now, Leondina's gone for B, close. I mean, your waist goes down, but not quite. It's definitely your lap. So a child will always sit on your lap. A person can lie on your lap. So it has to be your thighs. Okay, let's look at the next one. And I'm not going to give you a clue here other than the context of the sentence. And I would like you to tell me what you think the best synonym is for this one, okay? We've got this and we've got gasp, okay? Can you think of a synonym for gasp? Okay. Now, this might be the first time you have seen this word, but read the word in the context and it should be quite clear what gasp is. What do you think? Can you think of a synonym for gasp? What do you think it might be? Definitely think in terms of a verb. Granted, it can be a noun as well, but in this case, think of it in terms of a verb. Think of it as a verb. Heavy breathe. Okay, so you've gone for like a heavy breath or breathing heavily, should I say? Okay, maybe. You just don't need the E on the end, Elena. Inhale. 50%. Alida, 50% on this one. It's breathe as a verb. That's what it means in this context. Gasp. That's a gasp. So you breathe your last. Okay, so that's what a gasp is. Yeah, blow as well. If you go with the whole motion of breathing, that could be a synonym. So good. Well done there. Okay. Then we've got, if you are about love, you probably quote me a sonnet. Let me know, guys, what do you think a sonnet is? What do you think a sonnet is? I know we get this from French. What is a sonnet? I'm not. I now if you say this in French, I'm guessing you don't say the T. Maybe it's sonnet. But yeah, what is a sonnet? I'm going to give you some clues actually. So option one. Alida, you keep on beating me to it. um, yes, okay, right. You guys beat me to it. Yes, it's a poem of 14 lines. That's what a sonnet is. I imagine it's very similar to you guys in your own language. Let me know if it is. This one though is we're going to finish off with this one. Again, I think you guys might know this, so I'm going to ask you for synonyms. Yes, says the leader. It's sonnet, sonetto in Spanish. Sonetto. Okay, that makes sense. So, guys, can you give me a synonym for, or can you give me synonyms for the word vulnerable? Someone is vulnerable, looks vulnerable, feels vulnerable. Can you give me any synonyms for it? Let's see if you guys know this one. So, someone feeling totally vulnerable. Elena says defenseless. If I've read that correctly, yes, defenseless. Defenseless, yeah. If you are defenseless, you would be vulnerable. So yes, that would make sense. So we're off to a good start there. Thank you very much, Elena. Someone feels defenseless. Let's see what else we might have over here. Unprotected, says Aleda. Weak. Yeah, all of these potentially. Yeah. Um, you don't have a defense. You could say are you are exposed in some sort of way. Your body could be vulnerable, in which case you're exposed. Your life situation could be exposed, so then you are vulnerable to attack. So, what I would like to ask you guys is this, okay? This is the question. Um, by the way, guys, this pronunciation, vulnerable. So don't say vul. The first L is silent. Vulnerable. Vulnerable. So we don't say vulnerable. No, too much. We drop the L and we go straight for the N. Vulnerable. Vulnerable. Okay. So my question, and it's a simple question, you don't need to go into detail, is this. Is it a great feeling to look at someone you love and feel totally vulnerable? What do you guys think? Now, we see this in children in terms of when they look at their parents or grandparents. We see this with animals like dogs and cats. And we also see this in human behavior as well, especially when people are in relationships. The question is it a great feeling to look at someone you love and feel totally vulnerable? Is it a good feeling to feel vulnerable? Let me know what you guys think in the live chat. It does depend on your experience, of course. But in that moment, is it a great feeling? Yes, because if I love, I trust, says Elena. Okay, yeah, I think that goes, well, as we would say in English, that goes hand in hand. Hand in hand. If you love, then if it's a relationship, if you love, then you would expect that trust is there. Well, you would hope that trust and love are there at the same time. So, yeah, if it's a healthy form of love. So Elena says, yes, it's a good feeling to look at someone and feel totally vulnerable. Otherwise, it is not a love at all, says Elena. Well, that sounds quite deep, Elena. Maybe almost there's like a poet, something of a poem building there. Um, I think, yes, it's always a question of what type of love it is, and if it's a healthy one or not a healthy one, and if it is a love for a person or is it more more of an animal love, to put it politely. So there's lots of different versions that love can take. Absolutely. I've always liked the Greek definition of ancient Greek definition of love, where they have four different types of love. Agape, which is love of humanity or humankind. You have storge, which is love of friends. You have philia, which is love of family, and then you have eros, which is the physical passion side of love. Elena says, but everything starts with love towards yourself. Yeah, it's important to know that it's important to be able to love yourself to begin with, Helena. I agree. I think that can be quite a difficult one to do because just like with people, we all go through periods of life where we might fall out of love with ourselves. And then we have to forgive ourselves and we have to continue our own development. But yes, it's important for people to know how to love themselves to begin with. That's a very important lesson in life as well. Okay, guys, well, that brings us to the end of today's lesson. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure that you like the video, subscribe if you're new, and share. Now, for next week, I'll be back at 4 o'clock with more live lessons, and you will see what we are going to be looking at next week. If you want me to look at anything specific, please go to the comment section afterwards and just tell me, Richie, can you look at this? Or Richie, can you look at that for me? I have been thinking in terms of certain things we might not have done for a while. So we'll see what we're going to go with on Monday. Alida says, thanks, Rich. Have a great weekend. You too, Alida. Have a great weekend. Irina F, thank you. Have a great weekend. You too, Irina. Elena, you too. Thank you for joining us today. And thank you for your contribution. Leondina as well. Thank you for your contribution today and for joining the lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay, guys. So thank you so much. Take care. Have a great weekend. And I will see you next week. And bye for now. Thank you so much. And yeah, have a good weekend.